Welcome to another edition of Around the ECHL every Wednesday on the Allen American social media channels, and of course brought to you by TRU by Hilton, the official away destination of your Allen Americans. That smiling, good-looking face you see there right to my left is Chris Ballard, the voice of the Growlers. All right, I want you to settle this argument for me because I've heard it both ways. Is it Newfoundland or Newfoundland?
It is. Can I say neither? It's Newfoundland.
Okay,
but you would definitely emphasize land at the end. It's not Lind or Lund.
Yep.
But you don't pronounce the found in the middle. It's Newfoundland. So I'll give you half points on that one for sure.
Okay, it's funny because I've heard three different things, pronunciations in the last couple of weeks, but that's okay. I heard it from the horse's mouth. I'm going with that on the air this weekend. It'll be Newfoundland.
You got it. Perfect.
Well, Chris, first of all, I'm disappointed you're not going to be here. It'd be great to catch up with you again. I know it's been a blast for you getting a chance to go home and call games for that, great organization, beautiful area, which hopefully one of these days I'll get a chance to visit. It would be awesome. But what's it been like, for you the last couple of years during this crazy COVID time?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been exactly that. And thank you for having me on. I'd be remiss if I didn't get a chance to say thank you. No, and it's been great to be working for my hometown team. I've been in the ECHL. This is my 7th season. I spent 3 years in Brampton, which was my wife's hometown, or my wife, she's from Southern Ontario. I got to haul her across the country here to my hometown in St. John's. And the experience with the Growlers has been unbelievable. Obviously, we had a great inaugural season in winning the Kelly Cup. The COVID situation is obviously throwing some things for a loop for a lot of folks around the ECHL, and the Growlers included. Obviously not having played at all last year. This season, our schedule's been a whole lot of messed up on account of us. I mean, geographically, it's a challenge enough getting guys in and out of Newfoundland. And it's even challenging again when you have COVID restrictions on top of all of that. So it's definitely been really challenging. But even in the season in which we didn't play, we made the most of it. I got to write a book about our Kelly Cup victory. That's cool. We got to, dabble in, we had a little bit of a TV show going on for a little bit where we interviewed guys throughout Newfoundland hockey history, former players, current players, that kind of thing. So it was cool to be able to have a bit of creative runway, I guess, to do some of this stuff. But at the same time, I mean, and I'm sure you would agree, you'd rather be calling games whenever you're not calling games. And so it's been fine, been good, but also challenging. But hey, at least we're back playing games and looking forward to a nice finish to this season here.
Well, you guys, no doubt, you've had a great team ever since you've been in the ECHL. And, that team, of course, a big fan of John Snowden. I know he was a big part of that, Kelly Cup a few years ago. And I got to admit too, Chris, I miss Brampton because that was the closest destination to my home. Of course, growing up in Buffalo, I had family in St. Catharines, and I hopefully have a few fans in St. Catharines too. But that was always a great trip for me. Love going to Brampton. The Beasts were always gracious to, give me a few extra tickets for my family when we played there. I miss going there. That was a fun place for me.
Yeah, no, me too. And it was the place that really gave me my shot at doing play-by-play for the first time. So certainly when I heard the news, over the course of the off season for us that they were unable to make a go of it. Yeah, definitely a bit of a broken heart. Plus they had become one of the bigger rivals of the Growlers as well. So really, really tough to see that go down. But I mean, it's tough in a market like Brampton, when you're basically a bedroom community for Toronto. If you're a hockey fan in that market and you wake up and say, I want to watch a great game of hockey today, you have a lot of options. On both the men's side, some of the best women's hockey, you can, within a half hour's drive, you have 24 maybe options of a good game of hockey to watch. And Brampton was just kind of caught in the middle of that. So we hope they're doing well, and we miss them for sure.
Chris, could they have done anything different to make that work, make ECHL hockey work there in that area? I know it's tough. And, for the longest time, they never played games on Saturday night because they didn't want to go up against Hockey Night in Canada. And I can't say I blame them, but was there something they could have done different to make that work?
I mean, as someone who was on that staff for 3 years, I can tell you, we were aware of what we were up against, and that includes the Hockey Night in Canada and the Maple Leafs, a half hour down the road. To be honest, I think they emptied the tank in terms of what they really had available to them in terms of recourse. I know they went to the city for some extra funding a few times, and they really did. That was a front office with a lot of passionate people who really cared about that community, and hockey at the AA level as well. I just think, with an Ontario Hockey League team literally on the same street, the Maple Leafs and the Marlies a half hour down the road, plus, like I said, all the other options. It may have just been a matter of time before, the money people had to make the decision to get out when they did. But no, they really did pull out all the stops to their credit, even when I left for those few years since. I know that they worked and did everything they could to keep that team there, and it's unfortunate that it ended the way that it did.
This is Chris Ballard, the voice of the Growlers. Of course, I can't wait for this weekend. Fans, an opportunity for you to see a Canadian team in our building. It's only happened a few other times when those Brampton Beasts came to see us. And of course, we had a playoff series with them, back a few years ago, our first year in the ECHL, as a matter of fact. But for our fans who are watching this right now, give us some selling points here. Why should they come watch the Growlers this weekend?
Well, if you ask us, we're still the defending Kelly Cup champions.
Absolutely.
The Growlers were not afforded the opportunity to defend that. So unofficially, we like to lay claim that, that's still us. So you're getting a high quality hockey team. We are very fortunate to the Growlers. They've had a lot of buy-in from the American Hockey League and the NHL through our affiliates, the Marlies and the Maple Leafs. And that's resulted in them entrusting our coaching staff with maybe a larger than average group of American League affiliated players. So, and the team likes to play fast and high energy, high scoring hockey. And I know you guys do as well. So I think that would make for a really good matchup. Now I know the Growlers are a little banged up at the moment, but we'll bury that in terms of selling points. But no, I mean, this is an exciting hockey team. All 3 years the Growlers have existed and played now. They've been at or near the top of the leaderboard within the division and the conference. And it's a team. We like to think that the North Division goes through Newfoundland. So, we're turning ourselves, I think, into, a force to be reckoned with, and you don't get too many chances, I guess, in your neck of the woods to see a team like us. So, and I can't imagine the Growlers will be going to Allen again next season. I think this might be geographically the furthest two teams away from one another in this league. It would almost have to be. So get your chance to come and see our team now. Plus our jerseys are pretty cool. We have that dog-faced logo. I think we've shipped those bad boys all across the world because dog fans have also really gravitated towards it. Plus hockey fans and people who just like good looking jerseys. So that's all the reasons you need, Tommy. Come out and see the game.
Get sunshine for the whole squad at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Hey, you know what? All I think about it selfishly right now, and I'll send one back with you. Will you have your equipment guy send a puck my way, and I'll send one back?
Absolutely, we can make that happen.
That'd be awesome. A couple names too that fans will know: Zach O'Brien, of course, from Wichita; Gordy Green, a couple really good players. O'Brien having a great year for you guys with 31 points. What type of style of hockey for our fans, if you'll kind of break it down for us as the voice of the Growlers, what are we going to see?
Yeah, I mean, well, this team has a brand new head coach this season, Eric Wellwood, former NHLer in his own right. And I think he's a player's coach, and he likes to kind of let the players dictate the play. And when you have a group of American League contracted guys as talented and as fast as they are, it's a hard forechecking team. It's a team that their offensive creativity is going to create opportunities against even a team as good as you guys. That's really been the identity. They're fast, hard to contain. And on the back end, you have great two-way defenders who can bury you with a big hit, just the same way that they can deke you out of your pants and score a highlight reel goal. The goaltending is solid. When this team is fully healthy, there's selfishly not a ton of holes in the game that the Growlers are bringing. And that's been the MO of this team since they joined in 18-19 when they won the Kelly Cup in the inaugural season. That's not easy to do. I know Allen technically did the same thing when joining from the Central League. And you know how hard it is to stay at that top level. And the Growlers, thanks to the Toronto Marlies and Maple Leafs, have been able to maintain that high speed, high octane play with solid goaltending and good defense, really for the full 3 seasons, even amidst a couple of coaching changes now. So we're going to be in your face. You're not going to like us, but the fans, if you're a fan of high-end hockey, then you'll like the product for sure.
This is Chris Ballard, the voice of the Growlers, joining us here and around the ECHL. John Snowden had told me what a great place, St. John's in that area, how beautiful it is. Be our tour guide here, if you would.
Ooh.
If somebody's looking, and I know eventually, maybe next year, you never know, Alan could be making that trip. That would be great. What do you want to see? What's it like there in St. John's?
Well, geographically, for those who don't know, St. John's in the province of Newfoundland is as far east as you can go in North America without getting wet. We're right on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, and that brings with it a whole lot of really neat things. The site of the first ever transatlantic wireless signal that happened in Newfoundland from a signal coming across somewhere in Europe. I don't know, my history lessons. It's been a while. But there's a tower overlooking the city called Cabot Tower, and that's where that signal was received. And that's a beautiful spot. Lots of great lighthouses. Obviously, being a coastal province, we are on an island, so not too far from Cabot Tower, there is Cape Spear, which is officially the furthest point east in North America, and that's a beautiful lighthouse, all park systems, really gorgeous stuff. And of course, if you're into the nightlife, and we'll ignore COVID and all that for a moment, but we have a little street here called George Street, which is famous, or perhaps infamous, for having the most bars and pubs per capita anywhere in North America. I don't know if that stat has changed over the course, even more than New Orleans, all the other places you can think of. We certainly are a culture who likes to enjoy ourselves, let's say. Yeah. A lot of great live music. If you're into Irish music, really, I think on one block, I think there's something like 50 or 60 bars and pubs and clubs and restaurants. So it makes for a pretty memorable evening, or not memorable evening, depending on how you like to enjoy yourself.
Well, for a kid who grew up in Buffalo, snow is not, it is part of my life. It's been part of my life, my entire life, and I miss it. We don't get much snow here in Dallas, but give us the average snowfall. How much snowfall do you get, per winter season there? And what's the average temperature? What is the temperature right now?
Yeah, right now, well, that's a good question. I only know Celsius, so you might have to help me with some conversions here.
We'll all do the math together.
Today's not that bad. Today might be -5 Celsius. And as far as snowfall goes, I mean, this province is a wonderful place. And when you're on, we're surrounded by wonderful, rugged nature, but also being on a rock in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean comes with a fair amount of terrible precipitation. And in the winter times, we get hammered with snow. I don't know the average numbers. As Newfoundlanders, you just kind of take it on the chin. You just expect it. We got, 12 inches of snow the other day, and I was still at work at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's just a way of life here. But at the same time, this is home, and it's kind of bred a nice hardy people here too. Yeah. A couple of years ago, actually, during our hockey season, we got hit with what's colloquially been called Snowmageddon, in which we had, I think, in the span of about 24 hours, I don't know, 3 or 4 feet of snow fell. It was a massive storm. Power was gone, but neighbors all banded together to dig each other out, and it really kind of brought the people together. So we're used to the snow. There's tons of it. You can expect it. Set your watch to it. But at the same time, I mean, if you wait for a good day of weather to go about your life, well, you could be waiting a while in Newfoundland. So we still get out there and enjoy the snow as best we can. But it is snowy. I can't lie about that.
Chris Ballard, the voice of the Growlers, here joining us. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, about just as your childhood there. And, it's not like you can just say, oh, I'm going to take a drive up to Toronto. It's a little bit more difficult for you guys travel wise too. What's it like when you're planning a road trip? How far in advance do you have to do that? How many different, is it a boat to get to the airport? How does it work?
Yeah, no, it's not as easy as hopping on the bus after a game and driving overnight to your destination like so many teams are used to doing. And Brampton was like that. Yeah. With us, every road trip, our road trips are all long. They're all typically in and around a couple of weeks long. And that's to avoid the multiple flights that would have to be involved, because we do fly off the island every time. We typically connect in either Montreal or Toronto, and those are big enough hubs that we're typically 1 or maybe 2 flights away then from our final destination, because you can get everywhere from Toronto or Montreal.
Sure.
But I mean, the trips are definitely scheduled well in advance. It's not as easy as just calling up your bus driver and saying, hey, you got to come to the rink tonight because we're leaving.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot of coordination, especially, and a lot of people wouldn't know this, but traveling with that much equipment on airlines is a whole thing. It's not just you have your seat, you have your bag, and you're good to go. There's so many planes, they might be too small to accommodate, all of the gear that a professional hockey team would have to carry for 2 weeks on the road. It's definitely pretty cumbersome to travel, but I mean, again, through the Maple Leafs and the Marlies, they want us to travel, well, and we travel heavy. And but honestly, the travel, it could be a lot worse. I'd rather, spend half a day, on an airport or in planes than, on the bus. But maybe that's just me.
Below Zero Cryo, whole body cryotherapy stimulates the body's natural healing abilities through exposure to extreme cold. Cryotherapy was developed in Japan in 1978 as a treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. Over the past 3 decades, it's become even more popular as its performance-enhancing and general health and wellness benefits have become more well-known. Call Below Zero Cryo for an appointment today. 469-362-8191. Below Zero Cryo is located at 8715 Lebanon Road, Suite 400 in Frisco.
This is Chris Ballard, the voice of the Growlers. With COVID and all those restrictions, you guys worried when you travel, especially coming to the States, that you might not be able to get back home?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason I'm unfortunately not on this current road trip. When looking at, I guess, the snapshot in this particular moment in time, I mean, we had just had a pretty big outbreak. I guess it's still ongoing here in Newfoundland. And if you combine that with, and, we're not ignorant to, obviously, the COVID climate, if you will, of all these other different cities that we go to. And because Newfoundland is an island, we've been relatively fortunate that it's a little bit easier, I think, to kind of lock down when you literally can cut everyone else out of this place, which is what our government has had to do in the dog days of this. So it hasn't been that bad. But that means everywhere else we go by default almost is probably worse than where we are. And yeah, sure, it's a cause for concern, until we really get a hang of this and it's really in the rearview mirror. That's always going to be a concern. And especially, with having to, there's also an isolation restriction currently in place where we have to isolate for 5 days when we come home, regardless of where you were. If you left and you're coming back 5 days, so that's messed with our schedule. It definitely, there's a lot of moving pieces to it. So, I mean, for me personally, when, looking at everything around, I said, you know what, let's test out the remote capabilities for this trip.
Sure.
And I'm upset about that because I haven't been to almost anywhere in the Mountain Division.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for another repeat trip, maybe again next year or something. I'm unhappy with the fact that I am not doing this with you in person right now.
Absolutely, Chris. And, that was the same thing when I got a chance to go to Alaska a few years ago. And that to me was just amazing. place I thought I would never get to in my life. And,
Exactly.
you know, we went there just a couple times, you know, during our reign in the ECHL and unfortunately, before they left the ECHL. So that was definitely on a bucket list, you know, a beautiful area there. And I hope, you know, that I can get to St. John's and that beautiful area up there. I've heard so many great things from players, and mentioned John Snowden, who is, you know, raved about that place and how great it is. Hopefully that will be on the list soon for the Americans. But, you know, talking about too, with players, moving players up and down, it's got to be a nightmare too. I mean, for the AHL, you know, affiliate trying to get guys to you. And, you know, I can't imagine that can be too much fun either.
No, I mean, it's just one flight, but it is a flight. Let's be real. And in February in Newfoundland, when the weather, like we talked about earlier, can be as unpredictable as it is, have guys been stranded coming to or from their call-ups? Absolutely, they have. But I mean, I think we have such buy-in from the Toronto Marlies and Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs held their main training camp, their NHL training camp here in 2019.
That's great.
You know, and they've really kind of almost created a Leafs culture, hockey culture within this entire province. I mean, maybe I'm biased from working with the organization, but this is a Leafs province, I would say, by and large. And because of that, I think they see, hey, what's an hour and a half? What's a couple hours of flight to get a guy up and down? When they see the rewards, their prospects get to come into our building in a true hockey town with a packed house where they're the superstars. They might as well be Austin Matthews to our fans. You know, it really is. They get embraced, and it's a big city in a small town at the same time. They get kind of the experience both ways. And I think they see the benefit in that as players entering their prospect system to play their first year here with us. So I don't think it's a huge concern for the couple of times a year that a flight might get delayed or canceled. I think they see the bigger picture.
If you're going out to have a beer after a game, give me the top 3 beers that people are buying on this. You mentioned the most bars per capita anywhere in North America. So give me the top 3 beers somebody's going to buy out there after a game. All
right. So I'm not going to, I would say the main Canadian beer that a lot of people know, Canadian beer, would be Molson. And but that's not my answer. Molson's fine. But there's like our local Molson brewery creates a couple of beers that are exclusively available in Newfoundland. My favorite one is just called India beer. It's a nice lager. So that's one, but that's still a little mainstream. We have a lot of great microbreweries here, right on George Street. I know it's a popular place for pregame meals and postgame, especially. It's called the Yellow Belly Brewery. I would recommend anything from there. They have a wonderful array of beers there. So anything from Yellow Belly. And there's another brewery a little further outside of downtown St. John's called Kitty Vitty Brewery outside of downtown.
What? Wait, Kitty Vitty Brewery?
Oh, yeah. Wait till you see how it's spelled. Quidi, new word, Vidi. Kitty Vitty. Don't ask me the etymology. I don't know it.
Ballard, you got me wanting to make a trip there now, buddy. I just got to walk in there.
I'll be your tour guide, my friend. Trust me, we'll have a heck of a week. You might stay after. You might need some more time. But Kitty Vitty Brewery, they actually, so obviously being on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean, you get all of the wonderful scenery and that comes with the ocean, including icebergs. And what this brewery has done is they have brewed beer with the ice that has come off of these icebergs. This is the purest glacial water and ice. And when that gets, it's what's filtering into your beer. My God, it is special. So it's a little pricey, but it is worth it. It is absolutely worth it. So that's my main pick. I'm an iceberg beer fan from Kitty Vitty, no doubt about that.
Well, being a Buffalo guy, of course, I'm going to stick to Labatt's. Don't veer away from what brought you to the bar, right? I mean, to me,
amen to that.
Hey, thank you so much for doing this. I really wish you were coming to town. Would love to see you, but hopefully somewhere down the road. Excited to have the Growlers in town this weekend. You do a great job up there, Chris. I'm happy you finally. They always say, hey, it's tough to get a job back at home, but you got a chance to go home, so everything worked out good. Thank you, my friend, for doing this, and safe, travels to you down the road, and of course, be safe, you and your wife. I know she said she put the foot down and said, "You're staying in town this weekend, Ballard," and you'll enjoy. I think we've had success, knock on wood, with the teams that have come in here remotely. So hopefully everything will be great for you too.
I hope so as well. And thanks so much for having me, and all the best. And first round's on me when you get yourself to Newfoundland.
You got it, buddy. And what is it again? The Vitty Kitty Witty City beer?
Close enough. Kitty. If you were to ask someone at a bar,
Yeah.
what's this Kitty Witty Bitty?
Yeah.
They would know what you're asking for. So Kitty Vitty. I'll send you a link.
That's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Chris Ballard, the voice of the wait a minute, one more time. Newfoundland.
You got it. You got it.
Newfoundland Growlers. There you go.
Hello, Americans fans. Former American defenseman Nolan Dakota here with a message from Fast Signs in Plano. Both Plano locations are independently owned and operated by myself and are proud partners with the Americans for this season and the Americans Drive for Five. At Fast Signs, we understand the burden this difficult time presents on businesses, and helping you to solve your changing visual communication and business challenges is our commitment. Mention this ad when you call Fast Signs in Plano for 10% off your next order. Fast Signs, more than fast, more than signs.